Hi guys, I'm Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, we're making French onion chicken. Basically, what we love about French onion soup, all of its delicious, sweet, yummy flavor, in a chicken dish form. Which again, we're here for it, we love it. Very, very simple. You probably already have all the ingredients on hand. Starting off with some chicken breast. You can use thighs, which if you know me, you know I prefer it. I'm using breast today because that's what I have. So that's what I'm using. In a shallow Dutch oven, I'm just getting a little bit of oil and some butter nicely melted over about medium, between medium and medium high. I want it nice and hot. I just want to sear my chicken on both sides. I'm not concerned about cooking it all the way through right now. While that happens and does its thing, I'm going to go ahead and slice some onions. I'm going to use 2 onions. I'm going to use a yellow and a red because I can, and because I love the color and the flavor. And the more onion, the better, because to me, the beauty about this dish really is spooning all of that sweet onion deliciousness over some mashed potato or something like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and slice thin. Chicken in, seasoned side down. And I'm gonna go ahead and sear this on both sides. Get that in there. I'm gonna season the opposite side because more seasoned the better. You can use any garlic and herb, any, flavor booster that floats your boat. And I'm just gonna continue to slice my onions. Chicken is out. Look at that beautiful flavor base right there. Now you know just by looking at that it's gonna do wonderful things. I'm gonna add in the onions. And I'm just gonna go ahead and saute them. I added a tiny bit more olive oil, tiny bit more butter. I'm gonna add a pinch of salt. I'll just use my tongs for now. I'm gonna saute the onions until they become really caramelized and deep in color. This is gonna take some time. It's gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes, so don't rush the process. Once it's where I want it to be, I'll show you the next step. Onions are looking good, they're developing good color. I'm gonna go ahead and add a tiny bit of brown sugar. And I do the same thing to my French onion soup. It just enhances the sweetness of the onions and it reinforces that really beautiful dark color. I'm just gonna let them cook for maybe like 5 more minutes. It's been about 10 minutes. I'm gonna let them cook about 5 more minutes. And then I'll grab some wine and some herbs and a few other things. Onions look absolutely fantastic. I'm gonna hit them with a little bit of flour. It's just gonna thicken the sauce. All you need to do is stir the flour in. You never wanna add flour and then just add liquid right on top of it because you're just not giving the flour a chance to cook out. And that way, it almost toasts the flour into that hot fat and the flavor. And you don't end up with like little bits that can taste almost like a little bit of glue. We don't want that. A little white wine, you could use white wine, you could use sherry, you could use a little red wine, you could use no wine at all, you could use a little bit of beer, or like I said, none at all. It's up to you. I like a little tang that it provides, so I add that in. You really don't need a whole lot, but it does add such nice balance to the richness and sweetness of those onions. A little bit goes a long way, and it cooks out, as you can see, in seconds. To it, we are going to add some beef stock. Lovely and rich. Some Worcestershire, whatever you want to call it. A couple dashes of that. And then I like to add some fresh thyme, like I said, much like I would be doing to my French onion soup. I'm going to do here. So I'm just going to add a few sprigs of thyme. You strip the leaves right off and add them in, or you can add them with the stem and just take the stem out. By the time you're done, all the leaves will fall off anyway. So the choice is really yours. All I need to do is bring this to a boil, let it simmer for about, I would say 10 minutes or so. I really want that sauce to thicken and reduce over medium heat. And then we proceed with the next step. Sauce looks fantastic. I'm just gonna go ahead and slide the chicken back in with all its juices. And I'm just gonna let this cook for about 5 minutes, because remember, the chicken was just seared. It wasn't cooked all the way through. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let this bubble for 5 to 6 minutes. It's not gonna take very long at all, just because the chicken breast is quite thin. We've seared it already, but it does need to all marry and cook through together in that sauce. I've got some Gruyere that I've shredded. I'm using Gruyere because that's what I would use in my French onion soup, but you could use mozzarella, you could use any melty cheese you like. I have that ready. I'm just gonna tidy up a little bit while that cooks, and then we move on to the last and final step. After a few minutes, you're just gonna go ahead and take some of your Gruyere or whatever cheese you are using and kind of pile it on there like so, because it's gonna melt anyway. This is the part where you're gonna wanna have a lid handy, because you're gonna have to put the lid on. Now, this is the easiest way to do this, to melt the cheese so that you don't have to turn on your oven or anything else. But if you wanted your cheese a golden brown and bubbly, slide the whole thing under a broiler. Just make sure you're using a oven-safe pan when you do that, and it will give you more of a golden brown bubbly. It makes no difference to me. I don't care, and I just want it to be melty. That's the part that I care about the most. But really, truth be told, the thing I care about the most is the sauce. The sauce is boss, and it is so good with a baguette, piece of bread, over mash, over anything that you want, or just with a spoon, because I love me a French onion soup. So the sauce is where it's at, but just leave it for a couple minutes and it will be perfect. That is what you're looking for. I'm just gonna take some time, just because I have it right here. If you have parsley, sprinkle some parsley in there. I do, but I don't feel like chopping it right now. I just don't feel like it. And truth be told, it does need a little green, so we're gonna go ahead and use some thyme, okay? Let that cool, and then we're gonna take a little bite. It's gonna be so delicious. That sauce, just look at it. Look at the color, look at the consistency. It's nice and thick. It is screaming for something to drape on it. It's gonna be amazing. I want the piece of chicken that's buried under the sauce, because I don't care about the cheese as much as I care about all these onions. Oh yes, oh yes. I'm gonna use my butter dish, because I can. I'm 10 out of 10. Hot. Super hot. That sauce belongs on anything and everything. It's absolutely delicious. You could throw some meatballs in there and it would be good. You could throw an array of vegetables and it would be delicious. But that French onion chicken is absolutely hands down the best you'll ever have. Go to laurainthekitchen.com for the written recipe, or go to spend time with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. That's amazing.